What's up guys, it's Jordan. Today I have another what I eat in a day for hormone health and balance. This time I thought I would include just some other little things that I'm doing in addition to eating in order to balance my hormones. I'll link the previous video I did on this topic above, here and in the description box below. Since making that video, I also wanted to share with you that I, in going to a new doctor, got a diagnosis of PCOS or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. As the name would suggest, it means that an individual with PCOS has multiple cysts on the ovaries, and it is a syndrome, and a syndrome is different from a disease or an illness. Many people can have PCOS and have different signs and symptoms, but all ones that are related. PCOS is very common in women. I believe 1 in 10 women has PCOS, and many women have PCOS and they don't know it. So my symptoms include irregular cycles, hormonal acne that I get around this area, which would suggest an imbalance in testosterone and estrogen. And I also have cysts on my ovaries, which were found through ultrasound and a CT scan. PCOS is also one of the, or it is, I believe, the leading cause of infertility in America. With that recent diagnosis, it kind of flooded my interest again in learning even more about hormones and what I can do to balance and thrive and not let this diagnosis kind of get me down or hold me back in any way. I started the morning with a plain old cup of green tea. Green tea is super high in antioxidants, which is something that you definitely want to get a lot of if you have PCOS or just in general. Antioxidants really help calm the inflammation that can be going on in the body. I'm also still having my usual bowl of oats in the morning, but I've been adding apples and some freshly grated ginger to it. Ginger is so good for digestion, and it just has such like a lovely flavor. It pairs so well with cinnamon and the other flavors in the oatmeal. So I just keep some of it in the freezer and just grate it whenever I need it. I also stirred in some flaxseed and some cinnamon. Cinnamon is super good for balancing blood sugar levels first thing in the morning. I'm also trying to use raw nut butters over roasted nut butters because roasting nuts can actually increase the glycotoxins or the toxins that are in the nuts. It's still not as much toxins as you would get from like meat or dairy products, but I'm doing what I can, and raw almond butter is actually really cheap at Trader Joe's, so I went for that kind. For movement and exercise these days, I've been doing a lot more long walks with the dog, even on rainy days. We love our long walks. I'm doing a lot of this instead of really high intensity or like long bouts of cardio, just because they can increase cortisol levels, which is another hormone that we don't want to imbalance. When I got home, I started making some lunch, and I decided to make a coconut curry stir fry kind of thing. I honestly was just using up what was left over in the fridge. So I had like a third of a zucchini, and I just chopped that up and added it to a hot pan with some chopped garlic, salt, and pepper, and kind of stir fried that around. Then I added some frozen broccoli. You don't need to go low carb if you have PCOS. You can definitely have lots of amazing complex carbs in your diet, like this wild rice. I also added some coconut milk and curry powder. And the heat from the pan just kind of slowly melts the coconut milk and it gets nice and creamy. I also added some red pepper flakes and some fresh cilantro on top. Fresh herbs and spices have super high amounts of antioxidants, so I love adding them to stir fries and soups and stews. They're all just so comforting, and that's honestly what I've been craving lately. It's just lots of like slow cooked, warm stir fries and soups. I love taming my sweet tooth after lunch with a little extra dark chocolate. I love this 80% organic bar. Extra dark chocolate has tons of antioxidants and it tastes really good. Interestingly, there's a higher incidence of mood and anxiety disorders in people with PCOS, and I would definitely say I struggle a lot with anxiety and my mood sometimes, and so I love this magnesium supplement that I add to my water bottle and just fill it up when I get to school. Magnesium is so good for calm and stress relief and just other body functions. I've also just recently started taking a Berberine supplement every day. It's a natural supplement that helps with the metabolism of glucose and therefore really helps with insulin resistance, which is a characteristic known in PCOS, and it's also really decreased my acne. When I got home from work, I made a big pot of a white vegan chicken chili, and I didn't show the recipe because I am using it for a little project I've been working on, so I will just kind of tease you with me pouring it into a bowl and this beautiful photo of it. It was delicious. And then after dinner, I washed my face, and then I also wanted to share with you this product that has really been helping my hormonal acne. It's by Zabana Essentials, I think that's how you say it, and it's an anti-blemish face balm that's totally natural and full of essential oils. I absolutely love it. I got it in a Petite Voir box. I will link that down below as well as a link to the product, but it is so calming for my skin, especially during a breakout, and I love it so much I had to recommend it. It really helps reduce redness, but also moisturizes and just kind of calms my skin down. Another tip I have is to avoid going down the internet rabbit hole. There is so much information out there about PCOS and lots of different cleanses and diets and supplements. Most of it is just people trying to sell you things. I have found just being intuitive and listening to my body to be much more helpful. And finally, it's so important to remember to practice self-love. Sometimes a diagnosis like a hormone imbalance can really get our self-esteem down and kind of make us frustrated with our bodies that they're not doing what they're supposed to do. But it's important to remember to trust our bodies and love them, and they will love us back. So sometimes I'll write them down or I'll just kind of repeat them in my head, and it makes me feel a lot better. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video all about hormone health and my PCOS, if I could talk, my PCOS diagnosis. If you have questions, comments, any helpful tips or, things that you know about, please leave them in the comments down below. As I said before, PCOS is very common, and so let's start the conversation about it and help other people. Make sure you subscribe and like this video if you want to see more like it, and I'll see you next week for another one. Bye!